So welcome to Knockhill for the Scottish Fiestas and Mini Cooper S Cup, and something completely new with two familiar classes creating one very strong grid of cars. The Fiestas start on the front. You can see Jack Davidson and Peter Cruikshank are the front row of the grid, the rest of the grid behind them, and then there'll be a couple of free rows on the grid, and we will get the Minis starting at a delayed start with the national flag. So the Fiestas take the lights on the bridge, and the Minis start with a flag. Mortimer and Wilson, the front row of the Minis, as per usual. This should be a cracker of a race. The Minis on paper should be faster. They should come through the Fiesta field, but let's just see how long it takes them to get there. Young Jack Davidson, very fast, sits on pole position. We've got a full complement of lights on the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge, and out we go down towards Duffy's Dip. All the Fiestas making a pretty good start there. Some of these cars, the new challenge cars, built to much cheaper specifications, as well as the outstanding fast cars as well, with the big Weldon roll cages as they go down through Duffy's Dip and Leslie's. And it is Jack Davidson who leads the way just now. The mini racer from down south, competing in Scotland, just now getting a bit of track time because it's quite a late start for his championship. And teammate to Joe Tanner is up the back straight. He goes. We're on board with Russell Morgan, and that's Ryan Stirling just ahead of us. As Russell comes through Clark Corner here and heads towards the hairpin. Right tucked up behind him, we've got Peter Cruikshank. And Peter just a little bit off the pace just now. Jen Marr at the very back coming through in the red 4-car. And here come the Minis, and it's Wilson that leads away. Oh, and also takes a whole heap of gravel on the exit of Clark's. But as we get to the hairpin, it's all about the Fiestas. Stirling trying to go round the outside or get a cut back here, but he's left himself wide open there. And has Russell Morgan got alongside him as they come out the corner? No, Russell Morgan hasn't, but Ryan Stirling all over the back of Jack Davidson now as they come up over the crest of the hill. Davidson under considerable pressure from Ryan Stirling. We could call Ryan a veteran in this class now. He's been around long enough. Stirling tries to go around the outside. No. Will he try and cut back? Oh, he's sideways on the brakes. Oh, off he goes. He loops it on the way in towards turn 3 McIntyre's, and Ryan Stirling tries he may with that Scandinavian flick there. That happened going through Leslie's. Unfortunately, the back of the car broke free. So easy to do. Just ask any Fiesta driver, including Nick Forsyth. They'll tell you just how easy it is to get that corner wrong there. And what a shame for Stirling into the gravel trap. And that promotes Russell Morgan and Peter Cruikshank and everybody else, in fact, up a position just now as the Minis start to home in towards the back of the Fiestas. Now, has Stirling managed to get that car going from the gravel trap at McIntyre? One would imagine so. He didn't look like he'd buried it. As we get to the hairpin here, Davidson leads the way in car number 2 from 37 Morgan in the predominantly blue car. And I believe the safety car is out. Yes, it is. You could tell the way that Davidson was very slow going at the hairpin there. And there we go, Ryan Stirling on the tow rope, unfortunately, as he gets drawn out from the gravel trap. And one person who is missing from the Fiestas this weekend, and unfortunately not with us, is Martin Ramsey. Martin's in hospital, he's not too well. So Martin, from everybody in the Fiesta paddock and everybody in the SMRC paddock and Knockhill, get well soon. We look forward to seeing you back in a race car at the circuit pretty soon. So here we go, we're racing again in the safety car. The Civic Type R parks down the Trioval and we go racing. And well, the Minis are starting to cut through the field now. The debris flag getting shown there. You can see the gravel next to the corner. That's a bit of a hazard. Let's hope that nobody picks up a puncture through that one. But the debris flag being shown as Ollie Mortimer tries to go underneath Paul Wilson. Is he going to make that stick? Yes, he has. But Paul tough it out on the outside. Well, he does. But he just runs himself off the road. Bounce, bounce, bang, thump over the grass. And rejoins just ahead of Stu Buchan there. And a great shame for Paul Wilson. Let's hope that car hasn't picked up any damage in that grass tracky moment. That was quite a rough excursion that he took going up the back straight there. The rest of the cars all making their way through quite slowly in these tricky conditions as we come towards the hairpin, and challenges all round as we come in there. Simon Smale in car number 67, the former bike racer. Maybe still is a bike racer actually, need to check on that one. Simon, a local man. First time we've seen him in the Fiesta here with Paul Curtis. Paul Curtis and he share a workshop, separate businesses in the one premises. And Smale doing a pretty good job, getting quicker and quicker throughout the course of the weekend. But these guys who have got more experience in the cars in these conditions, just a little bit ahead of Simon's pace. But Simon doing a cracking job in the 67 car there as Mortimer now wades his way knee deep through Fiestas as they go through the twisty complex at Knockhill. And Ollie Mortimer pulled away handsomely from Paul Wilson. Paul probably just making sure the car feels okay after that very bumpy, rough, grass-tracky moment that took him wide at Butchers and made him rejoin at the top of the chicane. Ollie Mortimer just absolutely shows no respect there to Stuart Scott. Stuart Scott maybe could have seen that one coming and bailed out of it a bit earlier, but Mortimer just goes up on the inside. And we need to remember the Minis do run on wet weather tyres. The Fiestas, they're a control tyre for the wet and the dry. It's the same tyre, but the Minis do have the option of slick in the dry and wet in the wet, obviously. And you can see just how much of an advantage these guys actually have. Also, the car's just a little bit more horsepower as they come up the main straight. And we've got the supercharger on the Cooper S cars. You can hear them whining as they make their way up over the crest of the hill. Back at Duffy's Dip, Simon Smale a little bit wide there, and that looks just a little bit like Ward comes in towards McIntyre's got a waved yellow flag there, and oh, there's a white car just on this left there, on the right, sorry, as Stuart Scott goes sideways. There was a white car pressed nose first into the recticel, and let's hope that that's not Ryan Stirling again for the second time at that one corner. We can see it in the screen now, car in the recticel, but Marshall's obviously happy with that. Messages back to race control. Race director Steve Burns will be pretty happy with where that is. And we can carry on racing being green here as we go on board with Russell Morgan through the hairpin and up the main straight. Quick check in the left hand mirror. Don't know if you can see anything too much out that. A lot of fog on that inside. A couple of looks in the mirror, obviously quite worried about what's going on behind them. Can he sense the Minis are coming? Probably yes. Davison goes through, Morgan goes through, yes, and Mortimer alongside him and makes that pass stick as they go in towards turn 1 Duffy's Dip. Through Leslie's as well, still the yellow flags. It is! Oh, it's Ryan Stirling. What an absolute disaster. Well, obviously he's done it properly the second time because he hasn't got going from it, but the first time, well, we'll just have to put that one down or chalk that up to bad luck, Ryan. We'll see you later on for race number 2 as the guys make their way through the chicane and up the back straight. Stu Buchan going through there just ahead of Ward, and Stuart Scott, who we saw earlier on, and he's still ahead of Simon Smale. That's good going, actually. Very, very good going. We've also got John McGladrigan and Angus Tosh. Angus Tosh this morning in qualifying didn't have any numbers in the car. So my other co-commentator Dr. Robert Johnson scratching her heads trying to find out just exactly what car it was. No numbers, no names, nothing on the car. Thankfully this time he has got the numbers on the car, and the number 21 is quite easy to spot. As up the main straight, Smale stays out of the way of Paul Wilson as Mortimer goes past Jack Davison, and that's it. Ollie Mortimer has now come through the entire Fiesta grid, and he's put his car, the number 70 car, at the front of this race. And he's making this one look pretty demonstration-like stuff. Surprised Paul Wilson. Well, actually, we can see the marks of the grass because of Paul Wilson, so maybe not surprised. But Paul will be back. These two guys separated by not a lot of time over a given lap. So let's see how they get race number 2, because it looks like Ollie Mortimer has already sorted himself a victory in this one. He's mainly got to continue for the rest of the race, but the pace which he is showing is pretty devastating, to tell you the truth. Ollie Mortimer's best lap, a 1 minute 0.8. Paul Wilson's best lap, a 1 minute 1.7. So Ollie Mortimer absolutely leagues ahead today in the rain at Knockhill Racing Circuit. Whether that's down to track time setup or just being brave, we'll catch up with Ollie after the race as Wilson pulls out from the back of Davidson and goes past on the main straight to chalk off yet another lap. In towards Duffy's Dip, brave corner that. Jen Marr stays well, almost out of the way, not really out of the way. Ollie Mortimer compromised quite a bit, considerably by Jen Marr there. But Jen will be just happy to finish her first ever race here at Knockhill Racing Circuit, and doing it in very, very tricky conditions, it would have to be said. Here comes Wilson and Davidson to also slither up the inside of her before they get to Clark Corner, I would imagine. There goes Mortimer through the corner as the camera picks up. Yep, Paul Wilson does a lot more gentlemanly, shall we say, than Ollie Mortimer did earlier on with Stuart Scott. As we go on board with Russell Morgan through Clark Corner, flexing his fingers on the steering wheel there, heading towards the hairpin. A good look in the mirror. Russell obviously just checking, making sure nothing's happening behind him or nothing happening in front. Jen Marr in front. Russell, be careful, be careful. He comes through the corner, compromised a little bit on his exit as they make their way up the main straight. Chalking off another lap. On we go. That camera again making it look very bright. It's not that bright here, ladies and gentlemen. But that camera makes it look lovely right now as Mortimer goes through over all the debris which is on the track and past the stricken car of Ryan Stirling, the number 33 white Fiesta, which is in the gravel. There goes Jack Davidson, a great addition to the championship. Let's hope Jack stays about for the full year. Be great to see him out there doing the full year in that car and seeing if people can get a mix with him as well. Morgan goes through now. Russell Morgan under big threat from Peter Cruikshank. That's why we've seen Russell Morgan be looking in his mirror quite a lot, because the most experienced man on the track, Peter Cruikshank, is now starting to catch him, and he's all over the rear bumper as Paul Wilson shoots by in towards the Ipin. We should pick up Morgan after Jack Davidson. Morgan and Cruikshank, the two blue cars coming together. Cruikshank with the orange stripes, and then Stu Buchan up the inside in the Mini. These two guys should really let Stu go, and that will not compromise their race as Buchan goes past one. And look at that, he's got both wing mirrors still attached. That's because Fraser Jameson's not here this weekend. As we go on to another lap here, be good to follow the Cruikshank-Morgan battle. He's over the line. Well, let's see where Ward is. There's Ward there. Ward with Scott. He crosses with McGladrigan. And there's Simon Smale. Simon's still ahead of Angus Tosh on the road. Clark Corner. Murky, horrible, cold, damp, wet conditions for the Armed Forces Appreciation Day at Knockhill. A very sideways on entry was Jack Davidson there. Stu Buchan looking pretty neat and tidy, but look at that. That's the battle for second place in the Fiesta Championship class. In the Fiestas, it's Morgan under big pressure from Peter Cruikshank. And can Peter Cruikshank slither past and make that position? The thing is, there's so much you can lose. You just have to touch the accelerator that little bit too much, and before you know it, you've locked a wheel. So easy to do. And we saw Simon Smale coming through there and being very sideways now with control, but managing to hold that and control it as Wilson goes through Leslie's in towards McIntyre's. And there comes our Fiesta just now, the Fiesta leader Jack Davidson. The battle well and truly on here. Look at these two. Peter Cruikshank, he's been doing this, we reckon, for 20 plus years now. As he goes down, chasing Russell Morgan. Russell, a great addition to this championship. He's been getting faster and faster with every meeting that happens. Look at Jack Davidson, the beautiful style. Doesn't seem to cost himself too much time as he does that at Clark Corner. His fastest lap of the race is a 64.5 second lap. The next best lap, actually, got to say that, 64.5 for Davidson. Russell Morgan has done a 65.8. Cruikshank has done a 64.1. So Peter Cruikshank, by far and away the fastest Fiesta driver on track, as Simon Smale tries to go back underneath Angus Tosh there at Clark Corner. To no avail. In towards the hairpin, we pick them up. And here comes McGladrigan with Stuart Scott all over the back of him. Stuart Scott, another man who's been doing Fiestas since it was XR2s. Now he can't see out of that car, surely not. He cannot see where he's going. He's got a tiny bit in the windscreen. Look at the mist on the inside and all the surrounding windows. So I would imagine a big handicap for him as the starter man makes his way out of his box. That means Ollie Mortimer must be coming out of the hairpin pretty soon. And the checker flag gets made ready. Here comes Ollie through the hairpin. It's been a pretty demonstration stuff. Checker flag out. First win of the year goes to Ollie Mortimer in car number 70 in his Mini Cooper R53, the Cooper S. 17 minutes 5 seconds was the race time, and he's a whole 13 seconds ahead of Paul Wilson. Paul's not going to take that too well as he crosses the line now. Third place in the minis will be Stu Buchan. Jack Davidson will come through. Here he comes across the line now to win the Scottish Fiesta part of the race. And Jack will be happy. Morgan will come home in second place in the Fiestas, and Peter Cruikshank will take third place as he crosses the line now. Let's go down to the pit lane for some post-race analysis.
So Peter Cruikshank is as worn to me by Duncan Vincent, your gold race suit.
It started off black, but now it's gone gold with age.
Love it. Obviously keeping yourself out of trouble, but third place in class, and it's a busy class.
It is. I was surprised at just how tight it was, this race. I was disappointed with my start. It was rubbish. I haven't started well for the last 18 months, so I've always got to push hard during the race. And I very nearly had Russell in the last couple of laps, but just didn't have enough time left to do it.
So any changes for race 2, anything at all, or are you just going to be settling in and hoping the weather clears up a little bit?
I'm going to go and read the racing driver's book of excuses on rubbish starts.
Duncan Vincent might be able to help you out with that one. Second place, and as we keep saying, it's a pretty packed Fiesta ST grid.
Oh, it is, it's really
and it was quite a tough battle with Peter Cruikshank behind you. What was it like through that?
It was really exciting. I mean, it's Peter and I have been racing together for such a long time now, and there were a few times when I thought he was going to get me, and then I managed to get away, and we both took advantage of traffic from time to time, so it was really good. It was very exciting. But there was no chance I was going to catch up with Jack, though, which was a shame.
And it's just like trying to avoid the missiles coming through of the Mini Coopers.
No, we were a bit worried about the Mini Coopers, got to say, but they were fantastic. They came through, we could see them clearly, they gave us loads of room, so it was all good. Good, clean racing, it was fun.
Excellent, well done. Second place, Jack Davidson. Race win for the Fiesta STs. You're looking quite happy with that.
Yeah, it was a good race. Just from start, just had to keep pushing and pushing. Then safety car, had to get a good restart. But yeah, just had to keep pushing all the way through the race.
And any changes for the rest of it, because there was quite a lot going on through the Fiesta field.
Yeah, I think that the car's doing really well. Maybe just a couple setup changes to go quicker. But other than that, it's really good.
Excellent, good stuff. Thank you very much. Well done on the race win, Stu Buchan. Stu, third place in class, fourth place on track. Yeah, it's great fun out there.
Absolutely superb. Loved getting mixed up with Fiestas and that today as well. It was brilliant. Last year for me, I was a bit hanging on the coattails of Paul and Ollie. Today was brilliant. I was able to actually get a bit racing, a bit overtaken as well. So yeah, it was really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Excellent, good stuff. Good luck for race 2. Paul Wilson, second in class for the minis and second overall on track. That was a fantastic race.
Not good enough, really, from me personally. Was rather embarrassed by Ollie there, so yeah, a bit to do for race 2, but second chance in race 2.
And first place, it's the man himself, Ollie Mortimer. First off, it's back to where you were last year in the minis.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the top step again. We've got a few new guys out as well, but a lot of the regulars aren't here, so the grids are still only 5, so that's a shame. But no, that was good there, apart from a wee mistake after the checkered flag. The car's spot on. I'll not go into the mistake, but it was a really good race, and it was tricky conditions. Got a good move on Paul, and that was it. I just pulled away, but it was nice to have something a bit more same sort of power to pass through, coming through, rather than all the really fast cars. It's it's a lot safer this way. So, but it was good. Enjoyed it.
Interesting race with the Fiestas, because they're not a pushover. You've really got to work to get through them.
Nah, that's what I was saying. They're pretty quick cars in the straights, and obviously they're very close as well. So they're all having their own battles and everything like that. So you need to be careful not to get in their way too much. Like when I did the mini challenge down south, it was the Mini Coopers and the Cooper S's in the same race. So it's a similar sort of story. So you know what to expect. So I've got the advantage there, I think. But Paul just got the jump on me at the start there, because I was like, is that the flag down there? And then it just dropped and he was off, and I was like, oh no. But,
left standing.
Aye, left standing. But I'd like to dedicate that race to my uncle Chris, who sadly passed away last week. So that was for him.
Excellent, well done, Ollie. Thank you very much.
So race number 2 for the Scottish Fiestas and Mini Cooper Cup. Good bit of insight from the drivers after race number 1, and it must be a bit chilly down there, because Dave Christie looks like he's got the old murdering gloves on, keeping himself nice and warm and getting all the lowdown from the drivers. Race number 2, well, we have Jack Davidson and Russell Morgan in the front row with Peter Cruikshank and Stuart Scott. The big question is, can Ryan Stirling from 10th on the grid, can he get himself back up to the front here? Can he fight with these guys at the front? Or, well, let's just hope he can manage to finish the race, because Ryan Stirling, fast man, and just didn't work out for him in race number 1. The 5-second board goes out for the Fiestas. We wait for the lights coming on the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. We've got a full complement of lights. Watch the jump down towards Duffus Dip. Here we go, lights out. Down we go. It's a pretty slack start from Peter Cruikshank, 61 in the middle there. As we come down towards Duffus Dip, the minis will now have their flag start as we get into things with the Fiestas, and it's Jack Davidson who leads from Russell Morgan as they come down Leslie's in towards McIntyre's. Hold their breath as everybody tries to get through and does. Stuart Scott, Simon Smale, Stephen Ward, Ryan Stirling, all in the mix Stephen Gray quite far down as well with Lorne Murray. And right at the back we've got Jen Marr in the red car, just going through the chicane now. The minis will be entering McIntyre's. And has it been Ollie Mortimer or Wilson? It's Wilson this time, look at that. So Paul Wilson said he was suitably embarrassed by Ollie Mortimer in race number 1. And gotta say, Paul was a little bit off sort, shall we say. We're used to seeing him a lot faster than that. As we go on board with Ollie Mortimer in the Edinburgh Remaps car, Ollie Mortimer Racing. You can follow him on Facebook as he stares at the rear end of Paul Wilson. He's done that many a time before, and he tries to go around the outside there. Brave manoeuvre. Shuffles the wheel through the hairpin. Ollie gets out the hairpin, grabs a gear. He's got a good run here. Jen Marr's about to get split here. Either way, Mortimer goes one side, Wilson goes the other side as they go up the main straight. And will Ollie have enough in that car to take the lead by Duffy's Dip? Paul Wilson won't want that to happen as Davison goes through ahead of Morgan and Scott in the Fiesta battle. Peter Cruikshank, a bad start, he's way down, and yes, Mortimer did get past Paul Wilson. So Paul Wilson already on the back foot. Lorne Murray ahead of us just now. Now Lorne Murray's in a different spec Fiesta than everybody else. He and Jen Marr are in the new Cup car, which has a bolt-in roll cage, a much cheaper set of shock absorbers in it, and a less expensive exhaust, which brings the overall whole cost of the car right down. So another great entry-level thing by the SMRC, put on entry-level task. So if you fancy getting in with these Fiestas and Minis, there is a way to do it. Check out the SMRC website. They'll be more than happy to point in the right direction. Now, having said that, focus on the racing, because there was a whole heap of cars arriving at the apex in one point there, and it looked like Ward was right in the middle of that with Stu Buchan, was he? It was Smale. No, it was actually Ollie Mortimer, and still Peter Cruikshank out of position and at the back trailing here as we go on board with Mortimer. And that's Simon Smale. Simon, do you know he's there? Kind of. He left Ollie just enough room. Ollie goes through the left-hander, brake down a gear, gets it turned in, perfect stuff. He's now got Ryan Stirling ahead of him, and congratulations to Mr. Stirling. He's completed more laps in race number 2 than he has in race 1, and he's flying as well as Ryan, so it's good to see. This is what we missed from race number 1 from Ryan Stirling. And Stephen Gray, a little bit off colour, shall we say, as they go up towards Clark Corner. Simon Smale ahead of Wilson, Paul Wilson. I don't know if it's just Ollie Mortimer gets through the traffic that a little bit better than Paul Wilson, but Paul Wilson today is just not feeling it, shall we say. In towards the hairpin, Mortimer pops out from the slipstream and goes up the inside of Stuart Scott. Basically showed Stuart Scott the front end and then the back end of the car as they go through the hairpin. Side by side through the hairpin was Peter Cruikshank and Stephen Gray as they make the way up the main straight, but still Jack Davison leads at the front from Russell Morgan, who's, I'm pretty impressed with the way Russell's driving. He's letting it all hang out with that style that he's got, and then Mortimer behind him on the road. We've then got Stuart Scott, Paul Wilson, Ryan Stirling, and then Stu Buchan coming in towards the mix as well. Again, still with 2 wing mirrors on that car. Through the chicane they go. Driver's been quite nice to the curbs and not bouncing over them. The floppy bollard still in place. I did see it getting hit in race number 1, but it's still there for race number 2. Clark Corner, Wilson and Scott go through. And the minis are a little bit spaced out. Such is the pace of Ollie Mortimer. Let's see his first race. Fastest lap of the race for Ollie Mortimer was a 60.8. A 1 minute 0.8 second lap for Ollie Mortimer. He's already done a 1 minute 0.5 or a 60.5 in race number 2. So he's absolutely flying. Paul Wilson's fastest lap is 61.7. Just not working for him. That was in the first race. So far he's not even near that in the second race. So Paul with a little bit of homework to do as we go back on board with Ollie in towards McIntyre's. That's Jack Davidson ahead of him now, and Ollie Mortimer will want to try and get past young Jack as soon as he can, and then that's it basically done for Ollie. He can settle himself into a rhythm. He doesn't have any other cars to pass unless it's lap traffic. As he powers up the back straight, Davison will see him coming. He won't put up too much of a fight, but he won't make it easy for Ollie as Mortimer turns in and there's a big corrective oversteer just in the heart of the corner. A little bit of lift of oversteer if you like it. Ollie does like to do that in his mini though, and we've seen him showboating many a time, and well, he went off after the checkered flag in race number 1 when he was trying to show everybody just how sideways he could go. At the hairpin, here we come. Mortimer leads on the road and overall from Jack Davidson, who's leading class, and in second place Paul Wilson again quite far off the pace, but ahead of Russell Morgan in the car, number 37, run by PCR Paul Curtis Racing, who is housed at Knockhill Racing Circuit. Paul puts a lot of these cars out, helps a lot of these drivers out as well, and houses them on the actual race day under his big awning. So there's another good reason to get involved with the Fiestas. Very, very friendly. They've also got a Facebook page, as have the Minis, so you can find them by going to the SMRC's main page, and there will be links to each championship class and page. As we come through the chicane, again, that camera makes it look brighter than it is. The commentary box window is certainly not showing that amount of brightness, but it looks nice, so let's keep it. Simon Smale still ahead of Peter Cruikshank as they come through the chicane there, and I think we need to take hats off to Simon Smale, to tell the truth. He's driving an absolutely fabulous first meeting. He's in as a guest, but if he has a good meeting, will we get Simon for the whole year? Let's hope we do. Car 67, Simon Smale, best lap of the race in race number 1 for Simon. Remember, that was his first ever car race. For him was a 65.5, which wasn't too bad, to tell you the truth, considering the fastest one Jack Davison done was just a second faster. He'd done a 64.5. So Simon Smale making progress so far in race number 2. He has done a 65 flat. So Simon Smale very much finding chunks of time every time he gets into that number 67 car. As Paul Wilson has now managed to find a way past Jack as they go in towards, well, as they went into McIntyre's, and they're now up the back straight towards Clark. Russell Morgan and Stu Buchan behind them now. Stu, he was buzzing after that race, wasn't he? You can see that in his driver interview, loving getting in about the Fiestas and having a good close race with cars of kind of similar speed, because the Mini Cooper S cars used to be in with the Sports and Saloons, and the Sports and Saloons have some seriously fast bits of kit in it. So the Minis were a little bit on the slow side for that, so this is a perfect place for them to be. They're a little bit quicker than Fiestas, but they're not blindingly fast. As we look back towards the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge, that is Ollie Mortimer chasing Jen Marr down, and he's about to go round the inside, outside anyway, to get past Jen there as he goes through Leslie's. And Ollie Mortimer doing a bit of a demonstration drive, it can be said. The first race, the gap, remember, to Paul Wilson was some 13 seconds. As it stands just now, we're already at 10 seconds for a lead. So yeah, Ollie Mortimer stamping authority all over the Mini Cooper S Cup. We pick up with Jen Marr coming through Clark, and we wait for Paul Wilson. And just behind Paul we have got Jack Davidson. Now Jack, if we look at the timer screen, he is actually entered for the championship, so he's not in as a guest. He's a registered driver, so let's hope that means we get him for as many rounds as we can and they don't clash. As Stuart Scott comes sideways through Clark there. Very, very good line from Stuart Scott, like that one. It's always great when you see the side of the car coming towards you in that screen. But let's hope that the Mini Coopers that Jack races down south, the GCW cars, don't clash with too many of the Knockhill SMRCs, and we get to see this young man in the Fiesta. It'd be great to see him in the dry and see exactly what he can do in that Fiesta. It's over the line to cross another lap. Went Russell Morgan. And then we've got Ryan Stirling, Stuart Scott and John McGladrigan. Now look at that, this is very, very close. Peter Cruikshank having a bit of an off race number 2. It's just not working for Peter. A little bit further back than he'd like to be. And that all stems from that start. It just didn't hook up, it didn't go forward in the line, everybody else did. And has Peter maybe abused the clutch in a way that's not going to let it work properly? As we get towards the finishing stages of this race now, Ollie Mortimer through the hairpin. He has been so good in this one. Up the main straight he comes. Over the crest of the hill, and he's done that for quite a few years. He's raced all sorts of cars as well. He's raced Fiestas, remember, he's raced these cars. He's also turned his hand to XR2s. He'd done a bit of Formula Ford racing back in the Z-Tech era. And yeah, Ollie Mortimer finding a good home in the Celtic Speed Mini Cooper Cup Series as well, and he's now gone on towards this and loving it. McGladrigan's got past those 2 Fiestas of Scott and Stirling, and thankfully Stirling still going, but lodged in a bit of a war now with Stuart Scott. And oh, what could have been for poor Ryan Stirling if that first race hadn't have ended in the gravel trap, because he really was taking the fight to Jack Davison for the first lap and a quarter. As we get towards turn 3, McIntyre's, Marshall's looking on. Winding down the laps now. cars are looking very dirty today. There's been a lot of excursions from people dragging mud and stuff back on. So it's it's a dirty circuit just now, and a dirty circuit means it's very slippery circuit as well. So let's see what happens in this, because it all seem to be at Clark Corner as they come through. Stu Buchan comes through the hairpin ahead of Jack Davidson now, as he makes his way up towards the finish line. And as I said, we're almost at the business end of this race now. There is not long left in this race. As we come up and start another lap, we wait for Ollie Mortimer to come in towards the hairpin. As up the straight go the dueling Fiestas of Scott and Stirling, with Tosh in his Mini just lodged in there, and Peter Cruikshank all on his own, still ahead of Simon Smale and Stephen Gray. Stephen Gray, another man who just hasn't been on form this weekend. We expect a little bit more from Stephen, to tell you the truth. We expect a lot more from Stephen actually. He's a fast man, he's a race winner in the past, and things just not working out for Stephen Gray today in the number 24 car, currently down in 12th position. He's bouncing through the chicane, a whole gaggle of cars up the back straight once again towards Clark Corner. Has Stirling got anything left in the tank to try and get past Stuart Scott towards the end of the race here? This will be the big question, as Peter Cruikshank looks like he's struggling, isn't he? Trying to turn the car into the corner and it just not working at all. Back end of that car a little bit wayward as he tries to enter Clark Corner. It's a famous place for the lift of oversteer, and here comes Stirling up the inside of Scott. Beautiful move, timed that well. Tosh tries to go through as well, but Stuart Scott manages to hold on just round the outside as we pick back up with the leader going through Clark, and now the second place man at the chicane. Paul Wilson climbs up the back straight as we wait for a car to come in, and it's Stu Buchan still on track and ahead of Jack Davidson. So the Mini's now running 1, 2, 3 on the road. As Mortimer comes to the hairpin, we can see the checker flag on the right of the screen, and here he comes to make it 2 out of 2 in the Mini Cooper S Cup. Ollie Mortimer, number 70, once again takes a cheeky little double today at Knockhill, and he does that with 11 seconds in his pocket at the end. A race time of 12 minutes 37 seconds as well off pure Mortimer. Paul Wilson will come through in second place, as I say, some 11 seconds a rear, and Stu Buchan, there he comes through in third place. Jack Davidson will be the first of the Fiestas home, and he'll take a Fiesta win ahead of Russell Morgan, and Ryan Stirling gets on to the Fiesta podium. Again, let's head down for some post-race analysis.
Taking 2 out of 2 in the Mini Cooper S Championship there. Ollie, congratulations.
Yeah, it was really well. Apart from the start, it was pretty good race. Paul got in the lead, then I managed to he got held up a wee bit on ST, and I got a bit of run out the hairpin, and then both of us went either side on ST, and then I came out in front. So after that, I thought Paul maybe got ABS problems again, because he wasn't really a threat. He dropped right back, so that was a shame. I never got a battle, but at least we're still friends. So.
Oh, they're still friends. We'll wave Paul round here just now if he wants to come for a quick interview. He's not your friend. He's just told me I'm not his friend. So let's go on. Paul, ABS problems on race number 1, but race number 2, Ollie says you weren't a threat there. Was that still the same thing, same problem?
Yeah, just after a couple of laps, the ABS light comes on and it just kind of holds me back a couple of tenths of each corner. Just no confidence on the brakes and running deep, and you just lose that rhythm. So that's my excuse from getting absolutely destroyed today by Ollie. Pretty embarrassing, to be honest, from my perspective. Not good.
I still think you're a star.
Thank you.
I missed him in this first round, but I've had an absolute ball today, to be honest. It's been great mixing it up with the Fiestas. I think it was a good choice for SMRC, to be honest. It's been great racing. Paul and Ollie, as usual, they're miles out in front, much more talent than me, but I've got a bigger smile now, I think.
And, you know, Fraser Jameson's not here because you've still got both wing mirror covers in the car.
This is very true. He's here spectating today, though. Hopefully he'll be out next month, eh?
You scared him off?
Oh, absolutely not. I think after he's seen me out there today, I think he'll be getting his car organised and ready, and he'll be out next month. Watch this space.
Cheers to you.
Thank you.
Let's go and grab a word with our XR2. There's a blast from the past. Our Fiesta winner just now up here. The Fiesta Challenge. We're going to be 5 seconds here, guys. 5 seconds. Jack Davidson, congratulations, mate. You must be delighted. Been a good weekend.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really good weekend. Just need to see what happens at the next round. But no, it was definitely a really good weekend.
Okay, Russell Morgan's across here as well. Russell, that's a big smile.
Yes, it is a big smile. I'm very happy.
That's it. That's all I'm getting from Russell. Ryan Stirling, where have you been all day?
McIntyre's. I think my talent ran out when I followed Jack going sideways into McIntyre's. Didn't catch it, lost it, and then lost it again when I was trying to catch Lawrence. So, lot to learn. But
good race too.
Yeah. Race 2 was fantastic. Great start, plenty of room, nice etiquette. Just a little bit challenging minis, but otherwise very good.